Hello everyone, and welcome to Graham. Today we're going to be doing our Eastern Box Turtle Cure Guide. And I'm here, full face cam, um, trying this out. Something my wife suggested. So let's get on with this video. I think it's going to be really interesting. Just a little caveat. This species is legal to keep in several states, so please check your local laws uh, when determining whether this is the reptile for you. Um, it's illegal to keep here, so I won't have one, unfortunately. That's really true of all species. You need to make sure you're double checking that they are legal to keep in your area. Um, oh, so, natural facts. I'm realizing my webcam is a little bit in the way, but um, for habitats, you've got mostly forest and plain areas. Here you can see a little bit of the range of box turtles. You've got your eastern box turtles in orange here. I believe their range does overlap here. But that's the species you're going to see most often. I apologize, my dogs are in the room, so they're being difficult. Size of about 5 to 8 inches, and they can live up to 100 years. So this is definitely a commitment animal. Don't get this one just because you can. They are a vulnerable species. They get killed on the road quite a bit. So just watch out for that, because that don't get wild caught animals, get captive bred box turtles. The reason that it's illegal to keep them is because of those wild caught specimens. So don't feed into the problem. On to enclosure options. The minimal size is a 4 by 2 by 2. You need at least 8 square feet of surface area. Realistically, you should probably do an 8 by 2 by 2 using the extension kit from Dubia. So combine 2 of the 4 by 2s. It would be great for this species. Just a large enclosure like that, you'll get to see them move around really well. That will influence what kind of lighting and stuff, because if it's that big, you're going to need more than one lamp. But I think it would be really cool, and it would be really interesting to see. Lighting. Reptile system zone. Huh. I thought I edited this slide. Did my slides not get edited? No, they did. Okay. This one didn't get edited correctly. I edited the picture, but not the information. I think I did edit the price. I'm sorry, this was scatterbrained on my part. Use an Arcadia UVB 12% 24 inch. So gives a lot of UVB because this is a partial basker. So you want to be careful with this, because for one, as a forest dwelling species, I was a little surprised when I saw it was recommended to use at 12%. So observe where your turtle stays, and if needed, you can move the 12% up to provide less UVB. Because I was a little surprised when it was 12%. I thought it would go with a 6%. It does live in grasslands every once in a while, so that could be the excuse. Heating. 100-watt bulb seems like a decent pick. You want that basking temperature at 88 degrees Fahrenheit, ambient temperature 70 to 75, and then your night temperature 60 to 75. Also, just a note, this is a great species you could keep outside in like a garden planter. You just would want to cover it because predators like raccoons or things of that nature. Humidity. Pick the Reptile. You want it to go off 1 to 2 times a day to get a humidity range of 60 to 80%. Substrate. This species does really like burrowing. Um, Deep substrate is absolutely required for your burrowing behavior, and say sand and clay additives could be added to help with this. But we're just going to say plantation soil, just for simplicity's sake. As for decor, you're going to want good hiding spots to give them some shade and a humid hide. I've got the giant Zoomed Habba Hut as one of the options because it'll provide plenty of space for your turtle to sneak into it. Um, Nothing to climb really because it's not a climbing species, so pretty simple on the decor. Note a paludarium with a small water section would work. That's no deeper than the top of the shell would be good because this species does like to soak every once in a while. Would be nice. As for feeding, and I was definitely supposed to replace these images. Technically, it can eat these options, but this episode is a little scuffed. I apologize. Um, Feed turtles under 5 years of age every day. Turtles older than 5 should be fed every other day. And what are the staples? You've got meat staples and you've got plant staples. Meat are things like roaches, earthworms, mealworms, silkworms, crickets, grasshoppers, black soldier fly larvae, quail eggs, pinky mice. Plants, you want things like cactus, dandelion, greens, hibiscus leaves, apples, blackberries, cherries. And then treats, things like hornworms, superworms, kale, spinach, wet cat food, and guppies. Not goldfish. You might be able to get away with like a goldfish once every year or so. We can maybe talk about goldfish later. I need to look into the research behind it because it's got some fancy scientific names behind it. Um, why not kale and spinach? They both have oxalates, which bind calcium. The turtles need a lot of calcium, so I would say keep that to a minimum because you don't want it to minimize the calcium that your turtle is intaking. Upfront cost, I mean, through all this, you get 526. Box turtles are a big commitment, both expense wise and time wise, is the main takeaway you got here. I mean, $500 is not the most expensive reptile in the world. If you increase that by like 200, so like $800, if you want to do the best enclosure option, your best enclosure is probably going to cost around $1,000 post decor and things, but it would be a great enclosure and a great turtle. Like if I just go back here, that's a beautiful turtle. To me, I think this is a male box turtle, but we're going to go into just a little bit of talking about what's the difference between a turtle and a tortoise, and some common methods to determine those and why those don't really work out. Well, a lot of people will say, well, if it spends most of its time on land and it's a tortoise, most of its time in the water, it's a turtle. In case you couldn't gather from the rest of this video, this is not an aquatic turtle. This turtle likes to live on land. They occasionally get in the water, but they live on land and they are a turtle. They were originally classified as a tortoise, but they are, in fact, a turtle. A lot of people will also say, well, shell shape. If it has a dome shell, it's a tortoise. If it has a flat shell, then it's a turtle. Um, well, that's kind of domey. That does indeed look like a dome. So it's a turtle, but it's got that dome shell. So that's not the greatest. So how do you determine if it's a turtle or a tortoise? Well, there's actually something somewhat easy, and it's to look at the feet. Does it have webbed feet or flippers? And that's going to mean it's a turtle. Does it have elephantine feet? Then that's going to mean it's a tortoise. What are elephantine feet? They're those feet that they kind of just sit. They look like an elephant, and they just kind of cushion onto the ground. It's for lots and lots of walking. Um, we can look into other tortoises later. I think I'm going to be doing some cure guides for tortoises. Let me know in the comments if you want to see that. This is going to be a shorter factoid. I've got some others that I think are going to be interesting. But I'll give you a few interesting facts about box turtles. Mainly, why are they called box turtles? Contrary to popular belief, turtles cannot fully enclose themselves in their shell. When they retract, they still have their little head peeking there and their legs off to the side. So they're still vulnerable to attack when they go into their shell. Box turtles plastron, that's the underside of their shell. So their shell is two parts. Note also their shell is part of their skeleton. So be very careful with their shell, because it does have all the things that a skeleton would have. But their plastron can actually hinge and create a box almost, and thus they're called box turtles. This protects them from most predators, except for things like eagles, which will pick them up and drop them on hard surfaces to crack them open. If the predator's patient enough, then they can wait it out. But for the most part, eastern box turtles are really good against predators, really, really bad against cars. That's why they're vulnerable. See a car, box up, then it unfortunately get run over. Um, Same sort of thing with armadillos. They'll either roll up or jump into the air and get hit by the car. But that's going to be it for this episode. Please let me know what care guides you'd like to see next. I think my next one's probably going to be a common snapping turtle, which will be a cool one. A little bit more difficult to do a video on, so just because most of the stuff won't be from Dubia. So, like, let me know if you're interested in that. Or you're like, it doesn't really interest me. Could you do something else? I'll look into what else I can do. That. Go ahead and let me know in the comments for this one. But please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. And goodbye.